All right, everyone, here we are with ticker symbol OCGN, Ocugen Inc. And before we jump into this chart, I want to say welcome to all the first-time viewers and investors. Welcome to the channel, Invest for Tomorrow. To all the subscribers, welcome back. And as we dive into this chart, I want every single investor and viewer to be aware that I have a ticker symbol to share with you that you guys definitely do not want to miss. This one went down 50% last week. It's bounced back from the $12 mark, sitting at around 17, and it's showing some strength and consolidation. Now, obviously, we need to pay close attention to it, but if you don't have this one on your watch list, I highly suggest and encourage everyone to stay tuned on in to watch this one and see everything that I have to share with you guys and summarize for you guys about it. Now, if you guys want to know live updates on what ticker symbols I'm watching, you can join me on over at the Patreon. The link is down below. I will be sharing with you guys live updates on ticker symbols I'm adding to my watch list, what attracted me to them, and what I believe about them, so that you can go ahead and be aware of ticker symbols that at some point you may have known about or you weren't paying much attention to them, and I'm here to enlighten you guys. So you definitely want to check that out. And before I share it on any other platform, Patreon is where I will be sharing them to share with all of you guys. And I appreciate every single one of you that have already joined and all of you that look forward to joining. So let's jump into this. Ocugen Inc. So I want to take a moment and think outside the box, okay? And I need every investor's participation in this one, because as a community, collectively, we need to discuss this. This is my question out there, and I need every single investor to be aware, because this has all been going through my mind over the weekend, and I wanted to see Monday's reaction to the stock and the overall market and see what's going on. So the overall market went up, right? It went up a few. Very small percentage, but those small percents make a big deal. Now, that right there is not reflecting here, anywhere here. So I find that interesting. Now, every investor's like, well, what does Ocugen have to do with the S&P 500 or the overall market? Well, it's going in the opposite direction. And there is a company in the S&P 500 index that launched results or information on their vaccine. And it's a one dose. And I don't know what the cocktail is. I would love to know that. And what's the, freezing point or room temperature or so forth on how to deliver it, right? And transport it. Like how, the word is how delicate, right? Or how sensitive is it to its environment? So Johnson & Johnson is the company I'm talking about. How much of an upper hand does it have on Ocugen, obviously in partnership with Bharat, and Covaxin? Covaxin is a spectacular vaccine on paper and on words and in articles, okay? And the results are looking pretty impressive based off of research. But this Covaxin vaccine has to have an upper hand on all three of these that are already out, which is Moderna, Pfizer, and then we have Johnson & Johnson. It needs to have something competitive or something to maybe not, an upper hand, but something to be able to compete alongside with these other three, because Ocugen's opportunity with Covaxin is getting dimmer and dimmer. So that probably made this reaction happen, this pullback, right? After a high here of the 26 on up to 11.95, and then now we're seeing this hit lows here of like 9.25 and bounce back up and sit on 9.93. So this could be an overreaction of investors. I'm not saying Ocugen and Covaxin don't have a shot here. I'm not saying Covaxin can't compete. I'm not saying Covaxin's trials and research is of no value, but we need to be aware of this as investors, to think outside the box and realize, okay, we need to know what Johnson & Johnson has to offer, And yeah, it's a one dose. I think that's probably one of the biggest things right now going for Johnson & Johnson. And my question to everyone is Covaxin a one dose or a two dose? And does anybody remember the percentage of efficiency, I think that's what it is, against the virus? And then we need to think about transportation. What temperature does it need to be at? I remember it in articles and research saying that it won't spoil for like 2 weeks at room temperature, which is a big deal when it comes to these vaccines that have been made. And then the cocktail. What is Johnson & Johnson's cocktail made out of? And Covaxin is different than most that have been made already, which is the mRNA technology, which is an enhanced technology that for the future is spectacular. But for a vaccine, in these moments, a lot of investors would feel more comfortable with the traditional way, which is what Ocugen and Covaxin are giving the opportunity to see, right? A vaccine that is the novel coronavirus, but in an inactive form. Inactive. So that's how we know vaccines for the last decades and years. So that's something that's making Covaxin very attractive to invest into and also very attractive to go into the market. But these are the questions I need from you guys. And down below, comment any information you may know more than me. And also, I need every single investor that is in Ocugen, right, and coming across this video to ask yourself these questions so you can understand if this behavior is an overreaction or Johnson & Johnson beat Covaxin to the race, and it may be something to look into, because the more companies take the market share of vaccines, the less opportunity Covaxin has on the market. Now, I've also seen, right, articles and information saying, well, if by any chance coronavirus becomes a seasonal thing like the flu, that you have to annually or every 2 years or however they're going to do it, but it's a periodic thing and it's in intervals, and it comes when that time comes, you got to go back and get a vaccine again. Covaxin may be able to get that market share for the future. So there's a lot of, gray area right now, and phase 3 trials and everything so far on Covaxin's end has been spectacular. We just need to know, when is it going to have its opportunity to shine in the US market? I apologize for taking time to talk about this, but I need us as a community collectively to be able to answer these questions and think about these questions. I look forward to everyone's feedback down below. So, what is our support? Our support is 976. If that gets broken through, the next point of reference is the 50-day moving average, which is 943. You definitely want to see if the bulls are trying to reappear and bring it back up, or are the bears tearing this one down fairly fast. Now, if it breaks through support and the 50-day moving average, the lowest point reached in the day was down here at 925, and that's your next point of reference to watch how the stock is reacting and if the bears are tearing it down fairly fast. Now, up here is our resistance, 1035. Very important point for the bulls to pull upwards, pull away from the 50-day moving average, and work their way up to newer highs. So 1035 definitely needs to be broken through, turn into a support so that the bulls can continue the upward direction to reach newer highs and new resistance levels. And if that's accomplished, their next point of reference to work on is 1143. As always, if you found this video helpful and informative, please do so and subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell to turn on all notifications and not miss a single video that I post. Share this with your friends and community, and don't forget to hit the like button to let me know you watch this video. Stay tuned till the end, because the ticker symbol I'm about to share with you guys, you definitely want to have on your watch list if you don't have it already. So for everyone that has made it to this point in the video, the ticker symbol I'm about to share with you guys is one that got hit pretty hard last week. It went down 50%. Now, it had to do with speculation, and it also had to do with news that really drove this stock down. We're going to look at it in just a moment. It's not rocket companies, but before we jump into that, I want to go ahead and share with you guys the tweet of the day. I tweeted this last night, and it says, "There is no better time than now to be watching and aware of which stocks are pulling back with upside potential." Okay? And I mean that. This is the time to be watching stocks and watching them closely, because we want to watch them bottom out or hit oversold area. Watch it closely to kind of pull right back up. And if it possibly goes back into oversold area, we know what it's capable of, what's the margin. And then also we need to be aware how the overall market is doing. And if it's correlating, then it's possibly something that can actually bounce back up, right? With the possibility that this is a correction and not a crash. If it's a crash, it could take months, it could take years to hit the bottom, and then it can start months and years to bring itself back up. So I've been stating it. Are we in a market crash or correction? I hope that we're in a correction and not in a crash, because a correction is healthy to then allow more investors to get back in. Institutional investors are definitely, upping their positions in certain stocks, and then we can start to see the market start to rise up again. So this is the time to be watching and aware of different stocks and doing your due diligence. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you definitely want to try to understand the company, which is another tweet that I talked about several days ago, back to the time where I stated the 2 ways you know you are in a stock you understand, which is believing in the company's mission and outlook, and you plan on holding more than just a day or even a month, possibly even a year, with a goal, right? An end goal for your initial investment to grow. So you do want to understand these stocks. Now, if you want to know live updates on what ticker symbols I'm watching, you can join us on over at the Patreon. The link is down below in the description. So let's jump into this stock. So this is a stock that I talked about back on the 23rd, right? 23rd of February. That was last Tuesday. Now, it's ticker symbol WKHS, Workhorse Group Inc. A lot of people lost hope on this one, and we were catching it as it was falling, right? It was around the $15 mark, $16 mark, and I stated, the RSI is still showing room here on the 1 day. It can possibly continue to go lower. It certainly did that, and it hit lows here of 12.30 and some change, and it started to pull back up with some strength, hitting $20 and some change, and it's back down to $17. Now, the $20 jump was because of news on the company and the potential, which was pretty positive for it, and quickly it's been pulling down because investor sentiment is pretty negative, especially after it being up here in the 40s and just falling towards the 30s and then collapsing 50% in just 1 day. So I understand how many investors are feeling, especially the ones that have been in it way before the run and then also as it was running. But this has potential, especially because the USPS contract is not the only contract that WKHS has. Now, it's fighting there and it's in that area. It could pull down a little bit more. And if it pulls down more, it's even better of an opportunity to watch, because a reversal is bound to happen with this one, especially with everything that I talked about in this video. And I definitely stated it back here, as we could see, on the 23rd. And I was talking about all the things that were going on and how the USPS contract is a big portion of an opportunity, but it's not the only market share that Workhorse was going to be able to obtain. They already have contracts with FedEx. They have contract with UPS. Those are big companies, and also others, right? As the article state, and ARK Invest has been loading up on this dip. Now, they have been shaving a little bit of their position here and there, but they loaded up a tremendous amount. I mean, what they've been shaving off is literally nowhere near 20% or 10% of the vast amount of shares that they bought as this dipped 50%. And they own close to 2 to 3 million shares, if I'm not mistaken. That states a bold statement that they were buying up here, they were buying on the way down, they were buying on the way up, and they bought the dip. So we've been watching this one since the 23rd. It definitely hit a low here of $12 and some change. It was fighting between $14 and $15 for a little bit, because when you go back to the 30-minute, you could see it. And it was just rising as those numbers kept getting hit. So it kept going down to a new low, hitting a newer high, a new low, a new high, and now it's consolidating. And it's already building momentum again. Now, is this going to run back up to 30 or up to 40 in no time? Of course not. It's going to take time, investor sentiment, and all these different indicators definitely have a lot more room to go either on the downside or get closer to the upside to then pull back down. So the overall market is playing a big effect here on the overall stocks. So if the market falls, yeah, this could fall a little bit more down. We saw how low it could go, $12. But there's so much room here based off of the fundamentals and potential of this company that Workhorse, yeah, lost one contract, but it didn't lose its complete business. And that's what I was telling every single investor. I'm not here to tell you guys to buy, sell, or hold any positions on WKHS or any ticker symbol I talk about, but I am here to enlighten you guys. And once again, if you guys want to know live updates on what ticker symbols I'm watching, I got 10 plus ticker symbols already that we have on our watch list over at the Patreon. You can click on the link down below and join us over at the Patreon. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.